We gather together this morning tenderly, like drops of dew on a leaf of grass, hopefully, like gathered raindrops in a cloud, gleefully, like water rushing in a stream to the sea, deeply, like groundwater pulled up from a well. We gather from every direction for another year of growth and depth, another year of companionship and hope, another year of learning to love this world. We gather like the water that joins us across all of creation, water that connects us within and without, merging and flowing across the entire world. Come, let us worship together.
Please take a moment to prepare yourself and your space for our time together. Grab a candle and a way to light it so you can join in the chalice lighting at home. Also, we hope you'll participate in the service by typing in the comments section when we invite you to do so. Now, whether you are lighting a candle or the inner chalice in your heart, let us kindle our flames with the words of Gregory Pelly. And so we gather from the ebb and flow of our lives, thirsty for connection to ourselves, thirsty for connection to others, thirsty for connection to the larger life. As we light this chalice, may all who gather here be filled with joy and hope, filled with compassion and love. Here may we be filled so that we may pour ourselves out into the world. I now invite you to share in the comments where you are by writing, "I carry the flame in," whatever town or city you are joining us from. Please join with me in saying our covenant. Love guides this church. The quest for truth and justice is its common purpose: to give thanks, listen deeply, speak with care, honor our differences, and seek and grant forgiveness. These things we covenant with one another. And now we are going to learn a new song. Take it away, Brian.
Hello folks, we're going to do a new song by UU musician Jason Shelton. It's for a water communion and it's called Holy Waters. It's a beautiful song and the first half of it is very repetitive with nice long notes, a little bit like meditation on breathing. Rod's going to sing it for you, just the first two phrases. Holy waters, holy waters. Thank you, Rod. And now I'll accompany him. We sing this 8 times, all the way through. Holy waters, 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 holy waters. Beautiful, isn't it? And here comes the second half. It starts just like the first half, but it's a longer melody with a few different words. Holy waters make us new. Holy waters make us whole. Holy waters make us free. Holy waters make us one. Rod will sing this second half for you now. Holy waters make us new. Holy waters make us whole. Holy waters make us free. Holy waters make us one. Make us one. Make us one. You'll have 2 chances to sing that during service today. I think you'll enjoy it.
Once upon a time, there was a drop of water named Higgins. Higgins was no ordinary drop of water. He was a drop with a dream. Higgins lived in a valley where it had not rained in a very long time, so all the lovely green grass was turning brown, all the beautiful flowers were wilting, and all the trees were starting to droop. Higgins had a dream that one day the valley would be a beautiful place again. But what could he do? After all, he was only a drop of water. One day, Higgins decided to travel and tell others about his dream. All the other drops listened very politely, but no one believed that his dream would come true. "Higgins," said one, "get your head out of the clouds. You can't spend your whole life dreaming." Higgins decided he had to do something to make his dream come true. So he began to think and think and think. One day, as he was walking by a rusty old bucket, he got an idea. "If enough of us drops of water got together in this bucket," Higgins thought, "there would be enough water to sprinkle on a few flowers to help them grow and become beautiful again." Eagerly, Higgins told everyone his great idea, but everyone thought he was being foolish. "That Higgins is nothing but a dreamer," they said. Higgins decided he had to do something to convince the others that he was right. So he said to them, "I don't know about you, but I'm getting into the bucket. I hope some of you will join me. Then there might be enough water to help at least some flowers grow beautiful again." So Higgins ran as hard as he could, hopped way up in the air, and landed with a kerplunk in the bottom of the bucket. And there he sat, just a drop in the bucket. For a long time, Higgins was very lonely. It seemed like no one else was going to join him. But after a while, some of the other drops could see that the grass was dying, and the flowers were wilting, and the trees were drooping. They all agreed that something must be done. Suddenly, one drop shouted, "I'm going in the bucket with Higgins!" And he leaped through the air and landed kerplunk in the bucket. Then two other drops yelled, "Wait for us!" And they hopped through the air and landed in the bucket. Then 10 drops jumped through the air into the bucket. Then 30, then 50, and then hundreds of drops came from all around just to hop in the bucket. Soon the bucket was completely full of water, but there were still more drops that wanted to join, so they found another bucket and hopped in. Before long, there were 2 buckets of water, then 3, then 4, then 10, and then hundreds and then thousands of buckets of water. Along came a powerful breeze that blew over all the buckets, and all the water flowed together to make a mighty stream. Everywhere the water flowed, the grass turned green again, and the flowers bloomed, and the trees stood tall and straight once more. All this happened because Higgins had a dream, and his dream came true. Because he knew that although he was just a drop in the bucket, enough drops in the bucket make a bucket full. And when there are enough buckets with the wind behind them, then justice will roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream.
Holy waters, holy waters, holy waters, holy waters, holy waters, holy waters, take
just a drop in the bucket. How often do you find yourself saying that? How often lately have you found yourself saying that? Of course, it is that often used phrase that inspired the story of Higgins, the single drop of water who, filled with exuberant hopefulness, tried and succeeded in inspiring the other drops of water to join in. I'm glad he didn't get discouraged when he first started talking with them, though. We are living in a world with so many challenges and needs that it's not hard to end up feeling discouraged, feeling overwhelmed and insignificant in the face of all of them, or powerless against them since they seem so big, so complex, and so expansive. It's a vulnerable feeling and a small feeling, the feeling of being small. And it is also one that is quite understandable. As our world has gotten more interconnected and more global, it has exploded in size from each of our standpoints. Big cities, countries with hundreds of millions of people or more, the ability to talk in real time with someone on another continent. Our world is immensely larger than the much more localized towns of our ancestors. And you know, that is fantastic and exciting, but it's also immensely more complex, as are the challenges we face. So how do each of us size up compared with the challenges of our times? How do we find our place and our part in making the difference that we may be called to make? Are we going to be a leading champion like Higgins and call others to join in the cause or need? Or are we going to be inspired to join by someone else, combining our energies together to be able to do even more? Because we need champions, and we need the next few drops who decided it was worth trying and joined in, and then we need the next ones who jumped in too, because it took all of them to make it happen. Sometimes it is the first few who follow the lead of a lone individual that have done the hardest work. There's a video on YouTube of a big field of people all hanging out at some sort of event. They're just all sitting in the grass talking to one another, and then one guy gets up and starts dancing. Not formal dancing or anything, but just joyful movement. Who knows if he even had music? It was just joy for him. For a good while, too, it's just him dancing all by himself, standing out in a crowd as totally different, but not really seeming to mind. He's having a good time no matter what anyone might think of him. Then, though, the change starts to happen. And it's not the entire crowd that gets up at once. Of course not. They're perfectly comfortable sitting where they are and may or may not have even noticed the dancing guy. The change starts when one more person gets up and starts dancing with the first guy. The first person didn't get up to dance because it was popular or what anyone else was doing. Probably the opposite, given that the one guy dancing and looking like a kook was probably getting fights from around them. And that first person to join, that one person, made the courageous choice to go against the social norms in that crowd, to break rank and join the dancing kook. And for a minute, it was just the two of them dancing. But the change had started. Inspiration was catching. It just took a little while to get going. When the third person got up and joined in the dancing, the movement was set. Gradually at first, then in a flood, the entire crowd got up and joined in. Now, you could talk about the contagious nature of actions in a crowd, but let's go with metaphorically contagious in this case. And that is something remarkable in this story. The latter folks who joined in the dancing did so when it was not socially acceptable to remain sitting on the ground any longer. And the folks who were in the middle simply moved with the flow of the moving action. Getting involved in things that lots of other folks are involved in is easier than those first few. And it is also important because so many things take tons of collective action or collective pressure to be able to change. But I want to highlight in both the Dancing Higgins story, I want to highlight both the Dancing Higgins and the story, as well as the next couple of people who joined in. Whether you are one of those first few folks or might be, or whether you're looking around for inspiration and directions. Actions and movements need inspiration, and actions and movements need leaders, the first one and the next few too. And yes, a field full of dancing people is a little silly, and it doesn't change the huge problems we have in the world, but there are many groups and leaders that are trying every day to make change happen. Featured Ware lecturer from our UU National General Assembly this past summer. She countered the drop in the bucket in another way too. Naomi Klein said, "The idea that we humans cannot do what is required to confront the many overlapping and intersecting crises plaguing our world, from climate breakdown to homelessness to systematic racism, the idea we can't do what is required because it's too much was always a lie. A convenient myth peddled by those in whose interests it is for things to remain the same. What the past few months have proven beyond all doubt is that when societies decide to treat an emergency as an emergency, precisely what climate activists like Greta Thunberg and others have been calling for, when that happens, all manner of possibilities instantly bloom." My challenge to you today is to get up and dance, to join the Higginses and the Buckets and see what might be able to happen, to see what transformations might be possible, and to inspire other folks to join in too. That way we won't be just a drop in the bucket. We can be drops in the bucket together. May it be so.
Holy waters, holy waters, holy waters, holy waters, holy waters, holy
This is a Sufi parable. Its name is The Tale of the Journeying Stream. A stream passing through many, many landscapes reached the sand of the desert. Just as it had crossed every barrier, the stream tried to cross this one, but found just as fast as it ran into the sand, its waters disappeared. It was convinced, however, that it was its destiny to cross this grand desert. But yet, there was no way. The desert sand whispered, "By hurtling across in your own accustomed way, you cannot get across. You will either disappear or become a marsh. You, stream, must allow the wind to absorb you and carry you over to your destination." Well, The stream did not like this idea, not one bit. It had never been absorbed before. It didn't want to lose its individuality. Then the wind whispered down to the stream, "The sand will take up the water, carry it over the desert, and let it fall again as rain, which will again become a river." "But," the stream asked, "can I not remain the same stream I am today?" "Well, even otherwise, you will not remain so," whispered the sand. "Your essential part is carried away and forms a stream again. You are called what you are even today because you do not know which part of you is the essential one." The stream then dimly remembered a state in which it or some part of it had been held in the arms of the wind. Then it raised its vapor into the welcoming arms of the wind, which gently bore it upward and along, letting it fall softly as soon as they reached the roof of a mountain many, many miles away. Because it had its doubts, the stream was able to remember and record more strongly in its mind the detail of the experience. It reflected, "Yes, now I have learned my true identity."
We now enter the time in our service that we make for our hearts and our spirits, for our cares and concerns, for ourselves and one another. We lift up and hold the joys and sorrows, the cares and challenges that we may each be facing. During our time of silence this morning, if you're watching this service on Facebook, I invite you to share any joys or sorrows or significant milestones of your own in the comments. And this week, I especially lift up those in our region whose lives are facing challenges and disruption from the fires. I lift up their safety and their well-being into our care. I invite us all to hold these cares in the compassionate embrace of this loving community as we enjoy a video of our UUCB fountain.
Thirst by Gretchen Haley. Start with the thirst, the deep well you have been forgetting. Ancient and ready to be soaked without shame, the well your grandmothers dug for you, the reservoir carved and cared by the people your ancestors betrayed. Your thirst is their faithfulness, undeterred from believing that there are no strangers here in the same thirst. We are made and unmade, born and born again. Thirst is the thing that remembers who you are before the land. The hard rock, your body stiff and unyielding, hungry for canyons and mountains, oxbow lakes, whole oceans of whales and sea lions, and even the bitter stories of slave ships and refugees refused at shore. The thirst can hold it all. Untellable tales of water coming before the ground is ready, water rising without recourse, stories also of creation and construction, the pot boiling tea and dinner and warm washcloths, and the first start of a seedling in spring. The thirst tastes the air, knows the sky and the rain before it comes, and sets in motion the leap off the ledge of the dock, freedom bound into the startling cold, and the way the breath leaves and then returns, like the sense that you are small, but also unlike late summer monsoons, always on the verge of danger and undoing it all. The thirst says, we are soft in these bodies, part river, flowing with the browns, the cutthroats, the immigrant grease, sometimes too much, and risk ready, part creek trickling for miles underground. The thirst knows there is a way to turn every breaking thing into beauty, to flush the wound clean and begin the healing. Again, thirst is what is possible when we tend to the wanting of the world, the generations, the stars, starting with your one dry mouth, and the reaching for the glass, the pouring, the filling, the lifting to your tongue, and the drinking it in until you are drenched in life.
Shall we gather by the river, where bright angels' feet have trod, with its crystal tide forever flowing by the throne of God? Yes, we'll gather by the river, the beautiful river. Gather with the saints by the river that flows by the throne of God. Soon we'll reach the shining river. Soon our pilgrimage will cease. Soon our happy hearts will quiver with the melody of peace. Yes, we'll gather by the river, the beautiful river. Gather with the saints by the river that flows by the throne of God, that flows by the throne of God.
Once upon a time, there was a drop of water named Higgins. He lived high in the clouds above a valley with his fellow water droplets.
Higgins, that's me.
But he was no ordinary water droplet.
I'm a water droplet with a dream. See, this valley I live above is so dry. Rain hasn't fallen for weeks. All the grass in the valley below is brown. The flowers have wilted. My dream is to have the valley return again to green.
The other droplets were more skeptical. They said, Higgins, get your head out of this cloud. That's a ridiculous dream.
But if enough of us get together, we can bring back the green.
Don't you see how dry that valley is below? It will never be green again. Just hush, they said, and walked away.
But.
On the ground in the valley, there was somebody else with a dream, except he was a human, and his name was Abraham.
Oh, phew. That's the last bucket is in the house now. I don't have running water in the house, but now at least my family will have water to drink, wash, and to use.
Abraham lives alone with his 6 kids in rural Ethiopia ever since his wife died. While he worked, his wife would travel to the river and gather water to bring it back home while Abraham worked, because they had no water in the village.
She did so much. I do miss her. Sometimes I'd buy expensive bottled water from the town an hour away. Other times, children gathered the water in her place. But as the valley is dry, they must go farther and farther away to get the water. Besides, my kids need to go to school and to learn, not deal with water all day long. I wish there was a way to make this valley green again and make sure no one ever has to hike miles and miles again for water. I wish it would rain.
And hearing that, Higgins couldn't wait any longer.
That's it. I'm coming down. Woohoo!
Splat! Higgins landed on the ground. At first, he felt the hot sizzle of the earth.
Ack! I need more friends so I don't evaporate and disappear.
Oh, please, everyone, Higgins needs your help. Put a water emoji in the chat box. Fill it up.
Oh, wow, look, the sky is starting to open up.
He saw something coming down from above. Another water droplet.
And another, and another, and another.
You all gave them the water droplets they needed.
All us water droplets are joining together. We're doing it. The water is getting deeper. We can come together to make this dry patch of land a river once again.
On the ground, Abraham called to his children as the rain fell.
Kids! Kids! It's raining! At last it's raining!
The family ran outside singing, dancing, and playing in the rain.
I see the river! It's finally rising! We'll have water to drink at last!
With that, he took his bucket to gather it, and his children followed. After a walk to the river, Abraham knelt by it with his children. With buckets, happily they bent, drinking deeply. And for the first time in days, Abraham's mouth was not dry.
I'm so glad it rained.
And Higgins?
I'm still here.
Inside Abraham's body, giving him the H2O he needs to run.
And proud of it.
Abraham and the children walked back with full buckets. Suddenly, Nuru, a girl from the village, approached him. Abraham, she greeted him, this is your last day collecting water.
Really?
Yes, she said. A worker just came out here from an organization dedicated to water. They said our village was approved for a local water system.
Oh, I feel even water on my face now. I'm so grateful. Oh, if only my wife was still alive, I'd tell her.
Tell her what? Asked Nuru.
I tell her that reducing water collection time gives my kids time to study and just be kids. With water in our home now, we can do more than just survive. We can thrive.
Holy waters, 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 make us true. Holy waters, make us true. Holy waters, make us free. Holy waters, make us strong. Make us strong. Make us strong.
This week, we woke up to yellow, orange, and even red skies all across the West Coast. This week, we also woke up to revelations that this administration lied to us about the threat posed by this pandemic in its early days. This week, we once again woke up thirsty for streams of truth and justice to run down and remake this land. We woke up thirsty for a better world. And like Abraham, each one of us every day, we metaphorically carry buckets of water back and forth as we try to survive in this unparalleled time and age. And like Abraham, when we carry those buckets for so long, our hands, they get rough, they get raw, our bodies get shaky, our arms get tired, we get thirsty. Like Abraham, we also get frustrated when the water that we have carried so far splashes out of the bucket and hits the ground, transforming into steam instantly. All our hard work gone. And like Abraham, we are sore from carrying the water in and day out. Sometimes feels like we do all this work. And for what? Like Abraham, we are so tired. But also, like Abraham, with his children and his village and even Higgins, we are not alone. We have each other. Though we may be far apart physically, we're connected through our hearts. Like Abraham, we also place our hands in water on a hot day to cool them. Maybe you have a bucket at home and you want to fill it up with some water and splash and play with it. It's always fun. And like Abraham, when we see our fellow water carriers struggling, our fellow humans, we come together to help. And when we see each other falter, stumble, we catch the other person and say, hey, take a rest, take a break. And like Abraham and the village and Higgins, we believe in a better world. We come together like the village in the story, not only to believe in a better world, but act towards it, making the once mythical made manifest. We are the prophets who prophesize a better world and make it come true by doing the work. So friends, in this time, in this unique age that we exist in, it is hard, it is difficult. So I ask you, if you feel like you are stumbling, that you need some help, reach out. And if you see a friend faltering, reach out to them, connect to them. This time more than ever, we need each other because we are moving into this new world together. We use these holy waters to make manifest our vision, our reality, our new world. We lean on each other to nurture and blossom our gifts to make our dream no longer a dream, but reality. We drink deeply of the love we have for each other, for strength, hope, solidarity, and even joy. You may think that you are as small as Higgins, but I tell you, do not forget, you are just as important, just as needed, just as loved. We need each other to survive. So hang on to each other and let us do this work together.
These days of sheltering in place, wildfires, and smoky skies continue to be challenging for all of us in different ways. We hope you have felt the care and support of this community, and if you're joining us for the first time today, we hope you'll soon come to know what a caring community this is. We also hope those experiencing financial strain or challenges right now will reach out to our minister, Reverend Michelle, who can provide assistance from the minister's discretionary fund. But for those who do have the privilege of enough right now, UUCB needs your gifts now more than ever. Our board and staff are exploring many options to help maintain funding for the ministries and programs we love, but it is going to take all of us digging deep in whatever way we can to support this congregation through the pandemic. We also hope you'll continue to practice generosity, especially with our Good Neighbor organizations. This month, we're sharing half of our offerings with the Diverse Housing Working Group to support the good work they do in our wider community. The Diverse Housing Working Group is a community-based effort to engage and educate local organizations and individuals about the need for additional diverse housing resources in Albany. They recognize that a strong community includes people from all walks of life and income levels. Offerings of any value are received with gratitude. More details on how to give will appear on your screen as our offertory begins. Thank you.
I was walking along, minding my business, when out of an orange-colored sky, flash, bam, alakazam, wonderful you came by. I was humming a tune, drinking in sunshine, when out of that orange-colored view, flash, bam, alakazam, I gotta look at you. One look and I yelled, timber, watch out for flying glass. 'Cause the ceiling fell in and the bottom fell out, and I went in a spin and I started to shout, I've been hit, this is it, this is it. I was walking along, minding my business, when love came and hit me in the eye. Flash, bam, alakazam, out of an orange-colored sky. Dee-ba-dee-ba-doo, a-dee-ba-dee-ba-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-doo, ba-dee-ba-dee-ba-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-boo. One look and I yelled, timber, watch out for flying glass. 'Cause the ceiling fell in and the bottom fell out, I went into a spin and I started to shout, I've been hit, this is it, this is it. I was walking along, minding my business, when love came and hit me in the eye. Flash, bam, alakazam, out of an orange-colored, purple stripes, pretty green polka dot sky. Flash, bam, alakazam, and goodbye.
Please join me in dedicating our offering. We dedicate our offering and ourselves to the mission of this congregation, to create loving community, inspire spiritual growth, and encourage lives of integrity, joy, and service. It's been so good to be together in praise and song today, even virtually. Before we shift to our virtual coffee hour on Zoom, I'd like to encourage you to stay informed and involved in all that's going on in our congregation by exploring our website, uucb.org. Among other things, you can find a link in News to the Week Ahead, our weekly email newsletter, which contains a nice list of upcoming activities. As we prepare to leave the worship service, here are just a few important announcements. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome. We'd love to get to know you better and share with you what we have to offer. We invite you to fill out our newcomer form. Tell us of your interests, how you found us, and any questions we can answer. If you leave your email address, someone will be in touch. Find the form under the About tab on our website. Sign up now for the 2020-2021 Chalice Circles, which start at the end of September. Please contact Natalie Campbell as soon as possible to let her know your day, time, and length preference. And finally, the Personal Theology program returned today via Zoom sessions. Please watch the week ahead and special events on our website for details on this weekly program. Now, please join in singing our closing song, a UUCB favorite, Blue Boat Home. It's number 1064 in the Teal hymnal if you have one at home.
Mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my mind and heart can say, I've been saved.
We close today with an excerpt from the poem Thanopodist by William Cullen Bryant. When thoughts of the last bitter hour come like a blight over thy spirit, and sad images of stern agony enshroud and pale, breathless darkness, and the narrow house makes thee to shudder and grow sick at heart, go forth under the open sky and list to nature's teachings, while from all around earth and her waters and the depth of air comes a still, small voice. Let us heed the call and go forth to do the work our mission calls us to do. Blessed be.